Okay, so what I want to show you here today is what I affectionately refer to as my room of doom. I know I'm not the first person to call it that. A buddy of mine once referred to it as the Nerdary. I kind of like that name as well. But I'm getting ready to move here soon, so this room is going to get, everything's going to get torn down and boxed up, and I'm not sure how it's going to turn out at my new place. So I wanted to do a little bit of a tour here and just show you some cool stuff that I got around the room. I'm going to start over here with my movie collection. I have a lot of movies. I've been collecting those since 2001 when I got my first DVD player. And let's talk about some of the cool stuff I got in here. First off, I guess I should probably note that I'm a big fan of horror movies, so you'll see a lot of those throughout here. Um, right here is my Blu-ray collection. I've been collecting Blu-rays for about 3 years now. Maybe a little bit longer than that is when I got my first one. But I have about 150 to 200 Blu-rays so far. Some pretty cool stuff. One thing I guess somebody might ask or wonder about is that the reason why some of them are pulled out as opposed to being flush with the other ones. Anything that I watch recently, I go ahead and pull it out so I have a point of reference that it's been recently watched. Something cool I can actually tell you about right here is my copy of Chasing Amy on Blu-ray. Holds a lot of sentimental value to me, and the reason why is because there was a 10-year anniversary question and answer session that they had in Hollywood a couple years ago, and I got a chance to go to that. And my question actually not only ended up on the Blu-ray special features, but they show me as well when I talk and ask Ben Affleck a question. So if you have that Blu-ray, you got a piece of me there. But like I said, I've been collecting the Blu-ray for about a little over 3 years now. Got some pretty cool stuff, as you can see here. Down here is where my box sets start. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I definitely have that one. The Goonies is probably my second favorite movie of all time, so definitely glad to have that as well. The Resident Evil box set, I actually just watched that, just got done watching that a day or two ago. And I'm probably going to be adding more Blu-ray than DVD at this point. I did pick up Star Wars, even though they made the changes to it. I still felt like I had to buy it. Down here, this is the only TV show that I have on Blu-ray is Lost. Lost is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And I felt like it was worth the upgrade, so I got rid of my DVDs, got Blu-rays. The next TV show that I'll probably end up buying on Blu-ray is Walking Dead. I might upgrade Dexter as well. Then over here we move to the DVDs. I kind of have all my box sets along the top, separated from everything else. And I got some figures and stuff up there. You have the John Carpenter's The Thing is right there. And I have my Friday the 13th box set here with Jason. It's Jason Bus above it. And then we have Nightmare on Elm Street box set here with the Freddy bust above that. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's real high quality. Gentle Giant sculpt right there. This is something that's real cool right here. My Hellraiser Lament Configuration box set. I had a chance to meet Ashley Lawrence and got her to sign one side of it. And then I actually had the opportunity to meet Doug Bradley as well, and I got him to sign the other side. So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg of one of the cool things that you'll see throughout this collection. I have all my DVDs genre-ized and alphabetized. So we start off with comedy. I have a lot of different comedy movies as we kind of go through the motion here. One thing that I'm pretty proud of is I have all the Kevin Smith movies on DVD. I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith. Have been for many, many, many years. And this is my Kevin Smith collection right here. I've met pretty much everybody involved with these movies, so I got some pretty cool things. Like my copy of Clerks is signed by the entire male cast. I've never met the female characters in the movie. But Kevin Smith, Jeff Anderson, Brian O'Halloran, Jason Mewes, and pretty much all of my Kevin Smith DVDs are like that. All signed. And I'm a big fan of John Hughes. I have most of the John Hughes movies. I think the only ones I'm missing on DVD at least, I have them on video, is She's Having a Baby and Curly Sue. Over here is what I like to call my family / Disney set. And that's where I got basically movies that I grew up with. They hold sentimental value to me as far as animated and live action stuff goes. Then I have all the Pixar movies. I'm a big fan of Pixar. The only ones of those that I've done on Blu-ray so far is the Toy Story set, which you might have saw earlier. And then we here just have some random other movies that kind of like have childhood memories for me. And then this starts the comic book movies. A lot of those I've started getting on Blu-ray now, so there isn't too many of them on DVD at this point. Most of the major ones, like all the Avengers-related stuff and Spider-Man and Batman and all that, I've upgraded. And this is where my horror movies start. You're going to see a lot of these. But basically I start off with some Hitchcock stuff there. And as we go on, you'll see some more obscure things. Like, this is one thing that I'm pretty proud of. I have one of the limited edition copies of Bad Taste, which is numbered 635 out of 50,000. You don't see those too often. I'm a big fan of stuff that's released by Anchor Bay, so I have a lot of those throughout this collection. You'll also see some of the like more obscure stuff. I'm a big fan of 80s slasher movies, so there's a lot of that in here. And you'll see things like The Burning that are not quite movies that you would necessarily see in everybody's collection. If I had to pick a favorite out of all the slasher movies, I would probably go with A Nightmare on Elm Street, and you will see why here shortly. Also a big fan of Full Moon. I've been collecting a lot of those recently. These Midnight Horror collections contain a lot of the old Full Moon movies. Yeah, we got all the Halloweens down here. Now I'm going to show you something else that's pretty cool in this collection as far as the next thing that's signed here. House of a Thousand Corpses, very cool flick in my opinion. I had the opportunity to meet Sid Haig, who played Captain Spaulding. I got him to sign my DVD here. It says to TJ, shit the bed, Sid Haig. So that's something cool, but definitely not the end. I Spit on Your Grave, another kind of a little bit underground horror movie. Camille Keaton, who stars in the movie as the woman, I got her to sign the DVD. It says to TJ, Revenge is Sweet. I do also have the remake here. I haven't had a chance to watch that yet. I'm not really a big fan of remakes, but I feel compelled to buy them for some odd reason. I'm going to take a little bit of a pit stop in between the DVD racks here. I got some cool things hanging up here. You'll see some more gaming stuff later, but I got the first issue of Nintendo Power there. I apologize for the glare of the lights right here. I have the first issue of The Walking Dead, which I was happy to get when it came out and didn't have to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for it like it goes for now. Who'd have thought that it would be as popular as it is? And down here, once again, sorry for the glare, but I have the 300th issue of Amazing Spider-Man, and I had the chance to meet Todd McFarlane a couple years ago and got him to sign that for me. And guarding over it all is the Room Guardian. We have R2 here. If he had batteries in him, I would turn him on and let him talk to you and do his thing, but alas, his batteries are not in. And then back here, there's actually a portrait of R2 that a friend of mine gave me for Christmas this past year that she drew, and very cool thing that kind of companions him. Back to the DVDs, we got more box sets up here. Like I said, Full Moon fan, so I got the Puppet Master and the Subspecies box sets. Got some Resident Evil guys up there. And my Alien box set here has the alien warding over it. And the Lord of the Rings, I have the Witch King up there. The Casablanca box set was something that I was happy to get my hands on. Now, another prize piece of my collection here, in addition to 80s slasher movies, I'm also a big fan of zombie movies. So you can see I have all the George Romero movies. I actually own 3 separate copies of Night of the Living Dead, because I'm just ridiculous like that. But Dawn of the Dead is actually my favorite. I had the chance to meet George Romero a couple years ago, and got him to sign my DVD. It says, to TJ, stay scared, George Romero. So very happy to own that, very happy to have that as a part of my set. Something that I'm trying to get myself through here is the Universal Monster Movie box sets. I'm slowly but surely making my way through those and enjoying them immensely. Another thing that I'm a big fan of is Troma. Troma makes, I hate to call them crappy, but they're pretty crappy movies. They're kind of famous because they gave Matt Stone and Trey Parker their start with Cannibal the Musical. That was before South Park, but you see some of the humor infused in that was later in South Park. And then you got titles like Killer Condom and Poultrygeist and Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD. What they're probably most famous for is the Toxic Avenger movies, which is kind of their claim to fame. Everybody's seen one of those on at late night on TV. Now, I got a couple cool ones at the end here. First off, I bought this one used at a used DVD store. And it's Zombiegeddon, and it says to Phil, something something, Lloyd Kaufman. Lloyd Kaufman is the patriarch, I guess you could say, of Troma. So I don't know who Phil is, but foolishly he gave up his DVD, and I happened to snatch it. Another cool thing I have here is this Romeo and Juliet. I bought this used as well in my travels. And this one's signed too, but I don't know who by. If anybody has any clue as to who that signature belongs to, it's definitely a lovely lady, because there is a heart there. So I'm going to assume that somebody might know who that belongs to. Any info, I would appreciate it. Then here we got some fantasy movies. You got your like Clash of the Titans, Jason and the Argonauts, Harry Potter, Hook, Pirates of the Caribbean, Princess Bride. I'm a big fan of that movie. And then my sci-fi section starts here. You see Back to the Future again. We got Star Wars. I put Ghostbusters under sci-fi. I don't really consider it a horror movie, and I don't really consider it a comedy. I mean, it's both of those, I agree. But if I had to pick one genre for it to put it into, I would call it sci-fi. And then over here is where my action movies start. Got some Bond movies there. I'm a big fan of Schwarzenegger stuff, so you see a lot of things like Commando, and you'll see more things like Total Recall, and you probably saw Predator up in my sci-fi section. Big fan of Clint Eastwood. I have all the Dirty Harry movies there. The next section that I got going on here is another cool little thing that I have separated for directors. I'm a big fan of both Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, so I have all their stuff separated. It's actually kind of funny because they're joined together by 4 rooms, which they both directed, and then at the end I have the Grindhouse movies. Over here I have some animated movies that don't quite fit in, the family fare. Stuff like Beavis and Butthead and Cowboy Bebop and The Simpsons. And then I got some documentaries. This Film Is Not Yet Rated is a very cool flick. I recommend everybody checks that out at some point. And then down here I have my drama section, all my different drama movies. Not too many of those in comparison to everything else, but definitely some cool stuff. Sorry it gets a little darker down here. The light in this room isn't the greatest. And then at the very end here, I have a few westerns, and then I have the Sergio Leone westerns over here. Like I said, I'm a Clint Eastwood fan. And then lastly, over here in the corner, there is all my TV show box sets. I have a lot of those. A fan of a lot of different shows. I'm a big fan of Aqua Teen. Arrested Development is one of my favorite TV shows. I'm really happy that that's coming back, even if it's just for one season in a movie. The Big Bang Theory is another TV show that I'm a pretty big fan of. Boy Meets World, I loved that. The Brak Show. I have my own Disney Afternoon here. I am an 80s kid, so I can kind of put together my own cartoons whenever I feel like it. Dexter is a TV show that I'm a huge fan of. Really excited to see more of that. I enjoyed the 6th season, even though a lot of people didn't like it. Freaks and Geeks is another TV show that I loved. I really wish there was more than just this one box set of it. I have all the seasons of Friends here. You can probably notice that a lot of those are still sealed. One of these days I'll get around to watching those. And Futurama, Heroes. Hey Dude, that's something that I'm excited about. I'm stoked that they're finally putting out old Nickelodeon shows on DVD. How I Met Your Mother is a show that I was a little late to the party on. I started watching it during the 4th season, and I'm caught up with it now. Oz is my favorite HBO hour-long series. That might change because I haven't finished watching The Sopranos or The Wire yet, although I have started. I'm on season 4 of The Wire and season 3 of The Sopranos. I am a Saved by the Bell fan. One cool thing I found out recently is Saved by the Bell The College Years, which I bought on a whim for like $8, is out of print now and going for like $100 online, so glad I got that when I did. Big fan of Seinfeld. Also a big fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I don't own those DVDs because my parents have all of them. So if I ever want to see them, I can just go over to their house and just borrow them from them. And then I have Probably more seasons of The Simpsons than anything else. I'm anxious for all the rest of those seasons to come out so I can complete that set. Smallville was a show that I was a big fan of. My season 4 is actually something that's pretty cool to me. I had a chance to meet Erica Durance, who played Lois Lane, and got her to sign my box set. It's probably a little difficult to see in this lighting. And then we have The Sopranos, like I said, getting my way through those. South Park is a show that I'm a huge fan of. I own all the seasons of that. I've seen probably every episode at least twice, but I never get tired of them. I got all the seasons of Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, Ninja Turtles, That 70s Show. Undeclared is another show that I'm an enormous fan of. It kind of goes hand in hand with Freaks and Geeks. I wish that it hadn't been canceled. The Venture Brothers is another show that I'm a big fan of. The Whitest Kid You Know is probably the most underrated sketch comedy show of all time. I'm anxiously waiting for them to bring out seasons 4 and 5 of that. This will give me a little bit of internet credibility. I have all the Angry Video Game Nerd DVDs. I had an opportunity to meet James a couple years ago. He's a very nice guy, very kind of calm and down to earth, not like the character he portrays. I got him to go ahead and sign all my DVDs and take a couple pictures and stuff, and he's a very cool dude. Also, with him, I got a chance to meet Stuttering Craig from Screw Attack. And he was very cool as well. He's like super tall. That's pretty much the main thing I can say about him. But yeah, there we go. That's me, Stuttering Craig. Then over here I have a couple music DVDs. It's a little darker and back here, so it's a little harder to see. And then some WWE stuff at the bottom. I am a fan of WWE, more so during my childhood than nowadays. So I have a lot of the classic stuff. I have all the WrestleManias and SummerSlam. And I have all the Royal Rumbles. Today's product is okay, you know, it's somewhat entertaining, but I definitely preferred it during the 80s and early 90s. And that does it for my DVDs. Show you a couple other cool things I got here. My Brock Sampson hanging out up there. This is starting to get into the gaming stuff. I have an Alan Wake. This is like a standee 3D like end cap display that I picked up, and it's been hanging out up here. Over here is all my PlayStation 1 games. I have a lot of PlayStation 1 stuff. I was a big fan of that system. Sorry about the glare. I'm trying to figure out a way to fix that. Maybe I can block it. But I have a lot of PlayStation 1 games. I would say that I have the majority of games that one would consider, you know, must-have in the collection. I have all the Final Fantasy games and have some really cool stuff like Intelligent Cube right there. Lunar 2, complete in the box there. X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Some of the Mega Man X games. Parasite Eve. I have Parasite Eve 2 somewhere, but I have yet to unearth it from whatever box it is in. All the Resident Evils. I'm a big Resident Evil fan. I actually own every single Resident Evil game that's been released in North America. Right here I have Psychoden and Psychoden 2. Psychoden 2 is actually kind of a cool story. I bought this game. It was basically the casing and the game itself, and it was missing the instruction booklet. And I bought it for $1, and then bought the instruction booklet off eBay for $25. So I got Psychoden 2 complete, and the disc is like flawless, for a total of $26. At the end here, I have some TurboGrafx 16 games. I have Bonk 1 and 2 and Splatterhouse. As far as I'm concerned, those are the ones that I really wanted to get. I'd like to get Bonk 3 at some point, but its price point is pretty high. Down here I have all my Dreamcast games. I have pretty much all the major fighters that you could want for the system. Fatal Fury, King of Fighters, Marvel vs. Capcom, Phantasy Star, Resident Evil, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So definitely some cool games for that. And over here I got a couple CDI games. Sorry it's real hard to see down here. It's dark and my lighting isn't that great. I don't actually own a CDI yet, so that's something I'm looking to get at some point. And up here I have Zombie Colonel America, the Zombie Hulk and the Zombie Spider-Man. And they kind of lord over all my comics here. I have 10 boxes of comics, and I'm always reading them and always bagging and boarding them, so that's a constant task. What I'm going to show you now is one of the coolest things I have in my collection here. This right here is a real Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy Krueger glove. It's got real razors on it. You can definitely cut somebody up with it. The last person to actually wear the glove on their hand was Robert Englund. I got him to sign it right there. It says to TJ, Freddy, Robert Englund. I met some of the actresses from the different films. There's Heather Langenkamp's signature on that claw. Amanda Weiss, who was Tina in the first movie, on that claw. And Lisa Wilcox, who played Alice in Part 4 and 5. And what you can't see here, because it's in the box here, but on each claw, I got each actress to sign a quote of their dialogue from the movie. I haven't gotten the pinky finger signed by anybody yet. I'm saving that. Hopefully meet Wes Craven at some point. That would be pretty cool. That's, yeah, one of the highlights of my collection is that right there. Right here is all my 360 games. All said and told, I probably have about 150. I don't have any of the collector's editions included with these. You'll see some of those later. But I have a lot of 360 games. Out of the 3 current systems, all of which I have, I play the 360 more than anything. I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite system out of the 3. It's just the one that I adopted as basically whenever something comes out for multiples, this is the one I always buy it for. Down here I have PS3 games. I only have about 30 of those, but I pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, have every single one that I really would want to have. This is something kind of cool right here. You see I have 2 copies of Little Big Planet. When Little Big Planet first came out, it was recalled because there was a song that contained passages of the Quran. A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually these 2 different versions of the game. One of these is the original version, and one of these is the re-released version. I have both. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip them over here, and I'm going to show you the only way that you can tell the difference between the 2. This copy I have that's still sealed. This is the recalled version, and if you look real closely here, there is the ESRB rating. Sorry that's so bad quality, but as you can see here, it says online interactions not rated by the ESRB. And if you look at the final released version, it doesn't say that. So that's a cool little piece of gaming history that I have right there. And up here, this case right here, I got at GameStop years and years ago, and I use it to house all my retro games. Got lots and lots of cool stuff in there. I have about 200 NES games. The NES is probably my favorite system of all time. I've collected more games for that than anything else. Pretty much have all of the titles that are super desirable to an NES collector. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Not necessarily to a collector, but somebody who enjoys playing NES. I pretty much have all of the titles that one would want to have. I don't have any of the super, super rare ones, but I do got a couple cool rarities in that collection. Down here, I have all my Super NES games. Most of those are just the cartridge. I do have a couple cool ones in here that are in the box. Right here, I have Chrono Trigger complete, Final Fantasy III complete, and Ogre Battle complete. So those are some things that I'm pretty proud to have. Over here I have all my Game Boy games. There's kind of just stacks and stacks and stacks of them in there, a little harder to see. There's Castlevania Legends just kind of hanging out because I was playing that most recently. And then down here we have Genesis. Once again, I'm sorry that it's hard to see this. It's dark in here. I have the best lighting that I possibly can have. And N64 is down here, along with DS, which I have probably about 50 or so DS games. And down here is PSP hiding back there. I'm not going to dig it out. And we have Sega Master System games on the bottom there. Over here, Doctor Strange holds lord over my Wii library, which I have about 40 different Wii games. Pretty much all the ones that I would want to have at this point. Down at the bottom here I have my Zelda Collector's Edition and my Super Mario All-Stars, which I haven't opened those, and at this point I don't know if I'm going to, just because of their rarity. And I got a fake Freddy glove up there, just kind of hanging there. This PlayStation clock that tells me what time it is. That time is not correct. The battery needs replaced in it. Over here, I have a real Jason mask. And it's pretty cool because I had a chance to meet Kane Hodder, who played Jason in parts 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I got him to sign that. This poster is one of my favorite pieces of this room. It's a picture of Ryu from Street Fighter 4. I'm a big fan of fighting games. I own a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine, which is downstairs. That probably won't make it into this video. Right here I have Gaming Station 1 of 2. Actually 1 of 3 if you want to count my new stuff. But I got some Genesis console up there with the 32X and the Sega CD. TurboGrafx 16 hanging out on the side there. And the Sega Master System's down on the bottom. And then this is station number 2. Kind of got some figures and stuff hanging out there. Up here I have most of my system boxes. This is cool right here. This is a God of War 3 press kit. It's 100% complete. It came with a Kratos mask and some t-shirts and stuff like that Sony sent out. So that's something that's pretty cool that not a lot of people have. And then I have the Batman Collector's Edition right here. This right here is my TurboGrafx 16 in the box. I have 2 Xboxes, one regular one and one of the Halo Edition Xboxes. I also have a Mountain Dew Xbox. Unfortunately, I don't have a box for that though. And I got my GameCube there, PS2, Sega Saturn in the box. Got a box of NES controllers hanging out above that. N64, Genesis. I do have a Virtual Boy in the box. This is kind of my holy grail right here. I have a Super NES and an NES that are both in the box. The NES, everything in the box is still sealed in the plastic. So the box itself has been opened, but the stuff inside has never been used. It's still brand new. So that's something I'm pretty excited to have. That was a cool find on my part. And I got Dreamcast there. Some figures and stuff above the TV here. Anybody who's a fan of Arby and the Chief will get that reference. Got my Heavy Rain origami there. Little Plants vs. Zombies dude. My Aqua Teen guys. And right here in this TV cabinet, I have most of my collector's editions. You can see Castlevania hiding up there above Assassin's Creed. My Bioshock Collector's Edition is still sealed. It's never been opened. And the Big Daddy statue that's inside it is still intact. A lot of those arrived broken, so I'm pretty excited to have that as part of my collection. Down here I got a couple more. You see Street Fighter 4 down there and Halo Reach. Hiding behind that I have the Halo ODST set. There's a Dreamcast hiding in there too. Got a couple of my systems here. There's a PlayStation, 2 PlayStation 1s actually, one of which has the screen on it. I have 2 Nintendos here, a top loader and a front loader. A mini Super Nintendo. Rob the Robot is kind of hiding down here. And then I got some random accessories that are just kind of piled up there. So many cords, so little time. Over here I have some figures on the wall. Back to the horror movie stuff, I have a lot of the Todd McFarlane Movie Maniacs series. You can see Leatherface and Freddy there. This Jason here is signed by Kane Hodder from when I met him. And Michael Myers, Chucky, Ash from The Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. And there's another Freddy. And I have some other figures here. Got Super Mario, Donkey Kong and Mario, Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko. This one's one of my favorite figures. This is the Dude. He is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive version. It's the Dude in his bathrobe. He comes with the rug and a White Russian and his sunglasses. I'm a big fan of Adult Swim, or at least old Adult Swim, so I got a couple of those figure sets. There's an old Mega Man figure back here that I found somewhere. Kurt Cobain figures. I'm a big fan of Nirvana. And we got Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, Clark Kent from Smallville, Brody and Marshall Willenholly from the Clerks in Action figure series, and then a couple comic book related ones. Right here, this is a cool figure I have. It's a Gears of War 2 set that has Marcus and the Locust drone, and he's using the Lancer to chainsaw into him with blood splattering everywhere. I'm a big Mega Man fan, so I have a classic Mega Man figure there. And then over here, I have all my PlayStation 2 games. Pretty sweet selection, if I do say so myself, of PS2. You can see I have all the Fatal Frames, Final Fantasies, Guitaru Man, and Marvel vs. Capcom, both Mega Man collections, Monica Mia 1 and 2. The Katamari games, I'm a big fan of those. Haunting Ground, which is not an easy game to find. I do have the Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence Limited Edition. That's something I'm happy to have in my collection, because that's probably one of the rarest PS2 games that you can get. And I have all the Resident Evil games for PS2, since I am a fan of that. Rule of Rose is another game that's kind of hard to come by. Shadow of the Colossus is my favorite PS2 game that was ever released. And I have all of the Shin Megami games. All the Silent Hill titles. All the Psychodons. And then we get to the end here, and my GameCube games start up. I feel like I have a pretty tight GameCube collection. Only a couple titles that I'm missing that I'd really like to get. Pikmin 2 and Ikaruga are two that come to mind that I still want to try and pick up. Cool addition to my GameCube collection is I have a couple of the interactive multi-game demo discs that weren't for sale. You could only get those from the kiosks. And then my Xbox collection starts here. Have a fair amount of those. Xbox was the last system that I got last generation, but it quickly became one of my favorite systems because it had stuff like Ninja Gaiden and Halo, and probably my favorite game on the system was this one right here, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. And then rounding out over here, have all my Sega CD games. Got some cool stuff there. You see I have Lunar and Popful Mail. And then I only have 3 32X games. I'd like to get more for that system. Sega Saturn, I got some cool titles. Albert Odyssey. I have Panzer Dragoon 2. I have yet to pick up a copy of Saga. One of these days when I have a lot of extra money to throw around, I'll track that down. Or hopefully I'll get lucky. And yeah, so that's pretty much my, my Room of Doom, as I call it. So I hope you enjoyed this little foray into it. Oh, one thing I forgot. Xbox. People will love this. Psychonauts. My copy of Psychonauts, signed to me from Tim Schafer. So, Tim Schafer's an awesome dude. I have a Brutal Legend poster that I got him to sign too. But there you go. I didn't want to forget that. I figured that's a part of this room that the gaming community would definitely appreciate. But thanks for taking a look at my room. Let me take you on this little tour here, and maybe I'll make another video here whenever I get moved and get everything unpacked and set it up somewhere else. I'm sure things will be a little bit different, because trust me, I have plenty of stuff that's not in this room that would go in this room if I had the space for it. So thanks again, and have a good one.